Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Controversial Topics with Caden. If you remember, I released a video probably last week. It was called "The Truth," or it was called "Beginning of Maths in Schools" or "Intro to Maths in Schools" or something like that. And today, I get an email from YouTube, and it says, "You have violated community guidelines about COVID-19. Please," and it said your video has been deleted, and you get a strike and all this. And I was like, oh shoot, my video got taken down. Then I was like, oh wait, this is a badge of honor. I can finally say that I actually got banned, or not banned. I keep using that word incorrectly. I actually got a video taken down because I was too offensive, which awesome. Good job, YouTube. Barely even said anything controversial, but nice job. You do you, YouTube. Anyways, today I wanted to do a deeper dive on the Afghanistan crisis and why it really doesn't matter. Well, why it really doesn't matter to the average American citizen, why it's all just a psyop. I'll preface with I feel and have sympathy for the people in Afghanistan who are, suffering horrible fates, but at the same time, there's a lot of bad stuff happening to our own people in America, and so, it's really priorities. But to start, I'd like to say the left side of the media is mad because, we got taken out of Afghanistan, we're supposed to nation build out there, and the right side of the aisle is mad because people are falling out of wheel wells, which is not misplaced anger, but it's really just a quick attempt to cash in on the whole thing. It's like, oh my god, people are falling out of wheel wells in Afghanistan trying to escape the Taliban. Give me my $10,000 speaking fee. And it's like, okay, sure, it's a bad thing that's happening, but you fail to acknowledge a lot of the other parts of the issue. And so yeah, it's just all just a big psyop. Everyone's mad about it for different reasons. And what I'm mad about, personally, from the standpoint of an American conservative, is I think that it was good that we got out of Afghanistan, and I'll explain why later. Sorry, I can't speak today all quite well. I'm glad that we got out of Afghanistan, which I'll explain later. How we did it was very poor, and the Biden administration did a very poor job of it. But I'll explain why I'm glad that we got out of Afghanistan first. So we went there, this conflict really dates back to I think it was like the 1950s, where Bush Sr. was like, okay, guys, and he went to the UN, and he was like, okay, guys, listen, I have this crazy idea. What if we tried to install democracy in the Middle East and, spread ourselves and our ideas everywhere? And the UN was like, okay, this guy is speaking facts. And then back in 2001, after 9/11, it was Bush who was like, okay, what if we go back into the Middle East? Or what if we go into the Middle East, get revenge for 9/11, stop terrorism, and then nation build. And the real reason we went in there is because we wanted to install democracy and stop terrorism. Finger quotes for both of those, because I'll explain why, but those both failed miserably. And it was a really strange way of going in, or I wouldn't say strange, it was probably more of a stupid way of going about it, because I heard this quote, it was from John Doyle, and it was like, trying to install democracy in Afghanistan is like holding a picture against the wall with your hand. Sure, it'll stay up while you hold it there, but when you take your hand away, it's going to fall, and that's exactly how Afghanistan is. The natural way of things is for terror groups to control, that whole area. Most of their citizens believe in Sharia law and corporal punishment and all the stuff that they do out in there. And it's just like, okay, we shouldn't have been in there for as long as we were, because all we did was basically just make a lot of people angry, kill a bunch of American citizens to become an anonymous pile of bones. We should have just left it be and didn't try to nation build, because all we're told is that nation building is a great idea, do this and this, and we'll have a bunch of democracy everywhere, and it'll be great world peace, we'll be saying kumbaya by Monday. But, well, it's never going to work. A lot of these countries don't want to be nation built, and so basically it's just a very bad strategy of how to go about things. And I think the Biden administration got out of there in a very poor way, because basically we needed to get out of there. It's the one thing the Biden administration has actually done that I've agreed on. So we needed to get out of there, but if we were going to get out of there, it should have been a little bit more strategic than just getting on, like, a bunch of people on a plane and saying, let's get out. We left the Taliban all of our equipment. I think it was like over 100,000 pistols. We left them a bunch of planes, helicopters, rifles, grenades. And we didn't even disable any of the helicopters or planes or anything. We just left them so they can just put on all of our stuff, walk into one of our bases and say, all right, let's get down to business. World terror. And it was definitely a bad way of getting out of Afghanistan. It was ugly, and our priorities were way out of whack, because the priority of getting out of Afghanistan should have been getting out of Afghanistan. Afghanistan should have been our people. We need to get Americans out, which we kind of failed at. We need to get our equipment out so the Taliban couldn't use it. And then if we have time, we'll save as many Afghanistan citizens as we can, because we don't want women being stoned to death. And if we can't get to that, then that's fine. We have things focused on in America of our people being oppressed. So we go, American people. The Biden administration got some of the stuff out, but we didn't get a lot of the embassy people out. We didn't get all of our soldiers out, and the equipment, we got almost none of it out. There's still much stuff there, as we've already touched upon. And the citizens are falling out of wheelwells, as we've already discussed. So, not a good idea. Well, it was a good idea in theory, but since Joe Biden's brain is melting ice cream, of course he's not going to be able to formulate a plan. If Trump was still in office, which he should have been, but we'll probably make a video about the 2020 election sometime soon. If Trump was still in office, he would have actually had a plan. He would have coordinated it better, which I'm kind of torn on this, because not only did the Biden administration fail, I would say Joe Biden failed if it weren't for the fact that we all know that Joe Biden is not really in control here. He's like an 8-year-old, probably dementia-ridden man. It's his administration that's controlling him and telling him what to do, and he's out walking into pillars when questioned about Afghanistan. Seriously, that's a video you should watch. Another thing Joe Biden did, and I'll go back to what I was talking about soon, but there was a service to carry the bodies of American citizens, kind of funeral procession, and Joe Biden stood there and discreetly looked at his watch while the dead bodies that died basically at his hands were getting pushed past him. Like, oh my God, don't look at your watch. But anyways, as I was saying, I would say it was Biden's fault, but as we all know, it's his administration's fault, because he has no idea what he's doing at a given time, and he's running into bushes and getting chased by his Secret Service. But at the same time, his administration is quite stupid, and that's probably why we failed. If we still had Trump and Trump's administration there, definitely would have been a lot more coordinated, a lot more of a better effort than what we put forth, within the last month. He would have actually gotten most of our equipment out and our people, and I know this is all hypothetical, so you can disagree all you want, but I think we can all basically agree that it would have gone along more better if Trump was in office. Now, it's not the biggest deal, if objectively. Sure, arming the Taliban was kind of an oopsie, and killing American people was also, probably the biggest oopsie we did, which is probably the biggest deal out of everything else. But honestly, getting out of Afghanistan, despite the fact that we did it, so poorly, it was obviously the good choice. It was obviously a good choice to get out of that country of sand. It was going nowhere. It was truly the definition of an endless war, because the Taliban, it's not an army per se, it's just a bunch of people who are terror groups that can always keep going, because terror groups can never be stopped. Well, terror groups can be stopped, but it's objectively a lot harder when you're on their home territory. And so it was just going to keep going on forever. We're never going to install democracy in there. We're never going to stop terror by being in Afghanistan. We're never going to do any of that. And so I actually agreed with our decision to get out of Afghanistan. So, yeah. That's the video. I'll make probably tomorrow or the next day a video about the 2020 election or Israel-Palestine. But, yep.